Is there enough cool cards inside Spider-Man to make players want to go out and buy a collector box? Stay tuned for today's video. We're going to talk about some cards and we're going to talk about some money. Does Spider-Man pack enough punch to make you want to buy a collector booster box? Welcome back, everyone. MTG Moxman here, and thank you again for hanging out today for another video. Marvel, the upcoming Spider-Man, is only a couple of weeks away. We are seeing tons of spoilers appear, and there's a lot of cards that are interesting to players, but is there enough interest to buy a collector box? Is there enough value inside to warrant buying these things sealed, or just hopping onto the secondary market and kind of being the person who picks up the singles that are coolest to you or will fit into your decks? It's a very interesting conversation piece, and a lot of players are talking about it. Now, in the second half of today's video, we will talk about the sealed market and what's actually happening with the collector boxes that are being sold for Spider-Man. But first, I want to talk about a few of these cards because there have been a lot of spoilers shown in the last couple of hours. A lot of cool cards have appeared, and there's a couple that caught my eye, as well as many others that I'm sure you guys think are awesome, and there's a chance here to talk about them. But I want to share these first couple with you before we continue on to the collector box. So, Cosmic Spider-Man is a 5 cast and cost 5/5 legendary creature, Spider-Human Hero. Now, this card has flying, first strike, trample, lifelink, and haste. Yeah, all that in a bag of chips. A very exciting card. Now, on the beginning of your combat on your turn, other spiders you control gain flying, first strike, trample, lifelink, and haste until end of turn. Now, that's a pretty cool idea to get a big, just overwhelming mob of these amazing spiders to come just nuke your opponents. Obviously, this fits very well into some kind of commander build, right? We get this. It's going to end up somewhere in a commander deck, and it's going to be a really big deal, and that's awesome, okay? Now, we've seen this kind of thing before, though, so jump back to the same image, but let me just overlay it with Horde of Notions. This was a 5/5 for 5. It's an elemental, not a Spider-Man hero. It had vigilance, trample, and haste, and you could pay 5. You may play target elemental card from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. Now, in the case of Spider-Man here, though, you get to have all those powers. So, in some ways, I get why the Horde of Notions is kind of cool, but at the same time, so is Spider-Man. There's a lot going on here. Even though there are similarities, there's enough of a difference here in the idea, as well as the artwork, which is amazing, that I have to appreciate where they were trying to go with this. It's kind of a simplistic card that gets the job done. It's obviously going to appear in Commander, but people are going to try this in Standard. Now, there are other cards, though, that hit the market, hit the spoiler scene that got people going. Now, here is Lady Octopus, Inspired Inventor. Now, this is a 1 casting cost 0/2 legendary creature. Now, a lot of these 1 casting cost legendary things we see nowadays, they're pretty awesome because they activate all kinds of cards. They work in tandem with things that have to have legendary creatures out, things like Mox Amber and stuff. There's a lot going on that offer more variety, and Lady Octopus is one of them. Now, as a human scientist villain, it says whenever you draw your first or second card each turn, put an Ingenuity counter on Lady Octopus. Then you can tap it, right? It says you may cast an artifact spell from your hand with mana value less than or equal to the number of Ingenuity counters on Lady Octopus without paying its mana cost. Now, we have, of course, artifact cards that are very similar to this, but this is a pretty amazing card for such a low casting cost, okay? There's a lot going on with things like this that are going to see cards like this see play. It's going to be used a lot. It's going to find homes in Commander. So you start seeing a lot of these Spider-Man cards are stacking up fairly well. Now, the last one that I want to talk about, and of course there are many others, but for the constraints of a video, I want to jump into just a few of them. Here is Hydro Man, the Fluid Felon. Now, it's a 2 casting cost, 2 blue for a 2/2 creature. Elemental villain that says, whenever you cast a blue spell, if Hydro Man is a creature, he gets +1/+1 till end of turn. So it becomes a 3/3. At the beginning of your end step, untap Hydro Man. Until your next turn, he becomes a land and gains tap to add blue to your mana pool. I find that card highly fascinating. As an idea of a card, I think this has something going on because we all know it's great to be able to smash people with a creature that becomes a land, but he gets untapped. So you can beat somebody down, but he untaps for a counter spell or for other type of instant effects you want to have happen later on. So Hydro Man caught my eye. Lady Octopus caught my eye. There are, again, other cards that I'm sure are going to be huge. We know about the Sinister Six and all these kinds of cards are coming up with. But when we look at the idea of the value inside this set, And at first I thought we might be a little low on some of these concepts and ideas that make a set truly great. We've seen certain mana creation cards they had inside the set, and nothing's really grabbed me, so I haven't posted anything for you guys to look at. And many people I know feel the same way. It's like, But there are a couple of these types of cards that just kind of bring you back, right? Ultimate Spider-Man. People like the idea of the artwork inside the set. There's no denying the artwork is going to be a draw. But is this all enough to buy a collector box? The interesting thing, I'm not going to pull up any more scenes today or any screenshots, but the collector boxes have actually stalled on sales. Understand that. Stalled on sales. Yeah, there's still, some sales happening, but this is nowhere near what Edge of Eternities was, or some of the other sets we've talked about this year, including Tarkir Dragonstorm. Now, this is a more expensive product. The prices have been jumped up and jacked up pretty high already in the secondary market, and people are capitalizing on that. But I think in hindsight, we are going to see these things actually scale back down a bit. I think we're going to see prices fall on the collector box in particular, maybe even a little bit on some of the play booster boxes. I can't be guaranteed, of course, but in my eye, I can just see the sales patterns, and things are slowing down to a degree that is almost unnatural at this point, considering we've seen some pretty cool cards and some great ideas. But I think the price, and I mean the increased price of going above 500, has drawn back the market's idea of what they should be paying for some of these things, or it's wallet fatigue setting up. There's any number of things you could attribute to why this is happening. But either way, there is market resistance at this price, and the sales are slowing down, which means the secondary market will be affected as well. Now, that doesn't mean that these things won't go to $2,000 boxes later. I'm not saying that. When things are done, they're done. And if cards here later on become some cool idea or concept, or people have to have a couple of these cards, it can shoot up box prices as well as everything else through the roof. You can't predict the future, but I can see what's happening now in the market. And those slowdowns are real. And they're across the board. So that's something to keep in mind too. If you're a person trying to scalp or flip these things right now, you might want to hold your horses, take a deep breath, and maybe just visualize something a little bit differently about how this set is going to be received by the players. It has great reception in terms of the ideas and concepts, but I don't know if everything's going to attribute that to just the individual cards versus the box is so cool you have to have one. You got to store one on a shelf. These are going to be worth thousands of dollars later on. I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm just saying the market isn't showing us that right now, and that's something to keep in mind. Either way, some great cards, some great ideas, resistance in the market. There's a lot going on here to talk about, so don't forget to drop some comments in the comment section. Stay tuned for the next upcoming edition of my video, which of course will be tomorrow, the same time, 11:15 Eastern Standard Time. We do a video every single day. I look forward to seeing you guys all the time. Thanks again for hanging out. MTG Moxman. Have a great day, everyone. A big shout out and thank you to the fantastic patrons of the channel. Thanks for tuning in today. I hope you had a good time while you were here. But let's not forget that this kind of creation is only made possible by the amazing patrons of the channel, the YouTube membership members who make it happen each and every day. So thanks again for being there. Shop smart, shop S-smart, and remember, always stay on budget and bring a friend to Magic because it's a better game when our friends play with us. Have a great one, guys. We'll be back tomorrow. Welcome back to the Ramble Jamble. Hope you guys are doing awesome. Glad you could stop by the channel as I drink coffee. And yes, it's pretty much full because this is a really long day today. I gotta be honest, we got a little tight for time on this one. So, Spider-Man's slowing down. Now, play booster boxes are still doing well. I'm not going to say they're not. But when I'm looking at the collector box market right now, it looks like there's like a invisible wall starting to hit some of these products, and they're just not selling as quickly. And I see some inventory starting to appear, and I see prices that haven't slipped down. They haven't like knocked it down by $100 or something. So I'll be curious to see how this plays out because we're seeing more of the spoilers now. We're getting an idea what the set's going to look like, the feel, the vibe. And if players don't buy it and the stores have already paid for it, you're going to have inventory. Stores don't want inventory. They do not want to sit on this for like 10 years hoping to make their money back. They got to flip and scoop this stuff. So I'll be curious to see if we see a rollback on prices. Because I know I wouldn't want to get stuck with all those boxes at high prices and then to find out that people lose interest too quickly and move on to the next product and it's sitting on your shelf. But you know what? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm looking into this a little bit differently. Nope. No, I'm not. The sales have slowed down. People aren't buying it. At least not the way we saw with Final Fantasy. Not even close. Guys, thanks a lot for... Actually, not even as much as Tarkir Dragonstorm, by the way. Month to month, like, back to back? Nope. Edge of Eternities? Nope. It's slowing down. Anyway, might be attributed to the price. Just maybe it's a little too expensive, you know.